G'day everyone, this is going to be the 10-minute build for the Electro Distortion, which is a sort of dirt sounding pedal. I've explained how to do a modification to turn it into a boost pedal in the last video, which sort of gives it a bit more sort of functionality. But I just noticed something actually, the Beavis audio schematic actually has different values on it, and I think it's probably maybe to increase the dirt on the output to give it more distortion. I'm not too sure, I haven't built it. But the one that I actually built it off was this. So these are going to be the components that you need. The only difference is you want two IN34As on the output and not a 1N4000. What's it got? Oh, 1N4001. Just go with two IN34As for that. But they are the components that you'll need. 200 nanofarad capacitors, 3.3K resistor, 2.2 mega ohm resistor, 680 resistor, and a 2N3904. So pretty stock standard components. Nothing difficult to find there. So yeah, they're the components that you're going to need. I think there's about 1 million different versions of the Electro Distortion. So yeah, just to reiterate again, you want to follow the schematic that I just held up on the screen before. Not the Beavis audio circuit, even though they probably both sound pretty similar. If you want to get the sound exactly like I just showed on the demo, then you should follow what I'm doing. If you don't really care, follow the Beavis audio schematic. It's all pretty much the same, just substitute where you need to. So I'm also going to be using BAT41s. I'd still recommend getting the IN34As. They've got a little bit lower forward voltage. You get a bit more clipping out of those. You can use those. You can use the BAT41s if you can't find them. I just don't have any IN34As, 1N34As on me at the moment. So yeah, I'm going with the BAT41s. So this circuit uses a transistor, and as you can see with the transistor, there's a flat side on it. You should check the data sheet to work out which one's the base emitter and collector. I'm going to be referring to the legs as base emitter collector. For my particular transistor, the leftmost is the emitter, the middle is the base, and the right is the collector. Yours is probably the same, but they can vary between manufacturers, so you should probably just double check to make sure that it's the same as mine. But this is how I'll be wiring mine up. The first two solder joints that you're going to solder are going to be the hardest to do, but I would highly recommend soldering them all at the same time, because once you've soldered one component on, if you go to solder the next component on, the first component will come loose. So it's much simpler just to get all of it connected in one shot, instead of trying to solder them all on separately. So on the right here we've got the collector, and you can see I've got a 100 nanofarad capacitor connected to it, which is then connected to the two diodes to the output. I've got the 3.3K resistor, which that's going to go to the plus. The end of that lead's going to go to the plus. I've got the collector and the base connected together with this 2.2 mega ohm resistor, and then I've got another 100 nanofarad capacitor connected that goes to the input. Like I've said in some of the other videos, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look pretty or whatever. This is just to get this is the easiest way that I know to actually put a circuit together, is to just pretty much use blue tack to hold it all in place, and then just whack it with a bit of solder. So next we'll do that 680 ohm resistor on the output. Just when you do it, also just watch you don't the resistor does the component that you're soldering isn't too close to the blue tack, because the thermal transfer from the solder joint will actually flow through the resistor, so you know your blue tack might melt a bit. So try and be quick with it as well. Don't mess around with it too much. Make sure you've got the leads lined up first go, all that sort of thing. So that's the 680 ohm resistor on the emitter done. So if you don't know what a diode looks like in the flesh, this is the BAT41. You can see it's got a black stripe on it. In the schematic you saw a picture of the diodes, and it was a triangle with a line. Basically just think of the line in the schematic the same side as the black line. So they actually go back to back in this circuit, which means well, it's not going to be that way, it's going to be the other way around. like that. So one of the black lines is pointing up and the other one's pointing down. So you solder those two diodes to the output capacitor. I'm leaving the full length of the diodes on mine because I'll probably end up just salvaging them again. I won't be keeping this circuit. I just build this circuit for you guys because it gives me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. Basically just, yeah, as I said before, just make sure that they're back to back. If you're doing the clipping diode mod that I suggested in the last video, you're going to want to wire this up to a double pole, double throw switch like I showed you in the schematic, and not solder it up this way. But if you're just building the basic electric distortion, then this is how you solder it. In fact, I was just thinking as I was soldering this, you should actually leave the lead on one of these diodes, because what you can do is, this is going to be the output. You can actually just bend it over and use that as the output. So this diode, actually move it up a bit so you've got a bit more length on that, and then you can just bend it down and use that little lead on the end as the output. So the last connection that we need to do is connect the grounds together. So on the emitter, the 680 ohm resistor on the emitter, you connect that lead to the two diodes together, and that's going to be your ground. For this connection, I've just enlisted the help of some helping hands because it's a bit tricky. So if you've got helping hands, get them, because they're quite handy for doing this stuff, pun intended, for doing this sort of stuff as well. So yeah, just connect those, the two diode grounds to the 680 ohm resistor on the emitter ground together, point to point, as we've been doing, and then pretty much any of these three leads on the end can be your new ground. You can just clip off the other two and use that for your ground. So to go over what you've got now, this will be your new ground, as I just said. This capacitor is your input, which goes to base. This resistor is 9 volts, the one sticking up from the collector, and then on the diode side over here, like I was saying before, you can bend it over. That's your new output. So if you're doing the if you're going to wire it up in the way that in the modification way, you'll have to take the output from here, from this capacitor, and run it to the potentiometer and wire it up the way that I explained in that video. So I'm not going to go over how to actually wire this up for the off-board wiring because I've already done it twice. If you want to see that, just skip to the end of one of the either the build a fuzz pedal in 10-minute video or the build a boost pedal in 10-minute video, because it's wired up exactly the same. It's the off-board wiring for these pedals is usually pretty standard, and it's wired up exactly the same for this pedal as it is for the other two. So that's pretty much it for this build. I've had a lot of requests for a dirt effect, and finding the right effect for these 10-minute builds is a bit of a challenge, because you've got to get something that's relatively simple and easy to follow, because I imagine that most people that watch these videos aren't too savvy with electronics. So I try and find the simplest pedal that I can, and the dead easy dirt was a bit of a failure because it uses that LM chip that I just had so many issues with. So I think this is a much better candidate for a 10-minute build, because it's all pretty easy to use components, and it's relatively easy to follow as well. So I hope you've got a working dirt pedal. Check out some of my other 10-minute builds. I've got a buffer, a fuzz pedal, a boost, and an AB switch. So yeah, follow those. They're pretty simple to follow. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more do-it-yourself guitar pedal videos, tutorials, demos, and yeah, thanks for watching.